So Mark, can you tell us what the NEC decided yesterday?
Well, the NEC had a very long and important debate on the question of pay. And first of all, I gave a report to the NEC about where we are in our discussions. And I reported that after a lot of effort and campaigning, the government had been forced to meet us to finally address our 5% pay claim on behalf of our members. That led to a meeting with officials. And those officials unfortunately told us that this year the government has only budgeted for 1% pay rises in the civil service. So the NEC then agreed a series of measures, the most important one of which is that we are putting a motion to this year's conference seeking agreement to move to a statutory ballot for industrial action across all of our members, for sustained industrial action that will involve all member action and targeted action, to put pressure on the government to not give us 1% this year, but to actually address our above inflation pay claim.
So is there a reason why the NEC is putting this to conference?
Yes, we've put this motion to conference because we think it's really important that if we decide to progress with the ballot, and the NEC hopes that we do, that all of our branches before conference can talk to their members, can hold members' meetings, can have mandated meetings, and when they come and vote on the motion, it is a commitment essentially that they are saying that their members support what we're doing and that they're going to work to get the maximum possible yes vote. So it's democratic that our conference should decide, but the period between now and our conference should be used to ensure the maximum discussion so members understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and when we then hopefully get a mandate from conference, we'll know that the whole union is behind what we're doing.
Is there any particular reason why we must ballot now?
Balloting now is a different strategy to what we've done in the past. I mean, we wanted the government to agree to talk to us, and it's good news that they've agreed to talk. Because what they've said is that they want a series of discussions. They're prepared to look at a more coherent pay system. But the bad news is they've said there's only 1% in the budget. And therefore the reason we're asking for a mandate now is to actually give us more leverage in those negotiations with the government's representatives. In other words, if we turn up to the meeting, it's inevitable that they will tell us 1% is all they've got. We want to ensure that in the talks we can get the maximum possible out of the Cabinet Office on behalf of the government because they know our members are serious and are prepared to take industrial action. So this is about leveraging in those negotiations the maximum possible that we can get. And the reason that that strategy is different is because we now have the ability, if members vote yes and we beat the threshold, to call that industrial action at any point over a 6-month period. We don't have to call it within 28 days as used to be the case, and therefore getting the mandate gives us a stronger arm in the negotiations, but crucially, and I think this is an important point to stress, we will be guaranteeing to our members that before any industrial action was called, we will go back to all of them, report the final position reached in negotiations, and then give a further chance in the union to consult about whether that action should go ahead. So it's about more pressure in the negotiations and being ready to take hard-hitting action if we fail to get the government to breach its 1% pay policy, which is what we deserve.
And can you tell us what's happening in the rest of the public sector with pay offers for other unions?
Yes, well obviously I know that people watching this video will be very keen to know where other unions are because we have long championed the view that we believed it would be best to have action with other public sector unions. But another reason why we're doing this now is because it's become apparent in recent weeks and months from meeting with other unions in the TUC that other parts of the public sector have had pay offers and are now balloting their members on them. So in health, for example, they're balloting on a 6.5% pay offer over 3 years. In local government, there's been a ballot on a minimum 2% a year pay rise for local government workers. And indeed in our own union, our members working in Scotland, in the devolved administrations in Scotland, we have negotiated above inflation pay rises that are fully funded. And therefore we are proceeding now because I think we recognise the chance of action with other unions is now very, very small because other unions are moving to settle on pay. And that's why we have to stand up for our members now and actually make this case that if we aren't prepared to take industrial action, the government will get away with treating our members in the UK civil service worse than virtually any other public sector worker in Britain, and that is unacceptable.
And are we talking to other civil service unions?
The NEC agreed that we should now approach Prospect, the FDA and the POA in order to tell them what our plans are. because in the meetings we've been at, the other unions have also said it's unacceptable that the government isn't funding above 1% pay rises. So we will talk to those other unions. But this strategy that we're putting forward depends on us being prepared to take an industrial action vote pretty quickly. We need to do it during the talks to put maximum pressure on the government. So we don't know what the position of the other unions will be. We will talk to them, but our belief is that we have to move, if conference agrees, to a ballot very early in the summer to maximise the potential of the talks producing something for members.
And does the ballot and will the dispute include all members, even those in multi-year deals?
So what's really important about the ballot that I think we need to stress is the only people that will be involved in the ballot are those who can benefit by us winning our campaign. And therefore the first thing to say is that members in Scotland who have received acceptable pay offers won't be in the ballot. And if anywhere else amongst our membership an offer emerged that was better than the rate of inflation and was funded, obviously wouldn't ballot them. But everyone else will be included, including members in multi-year deals. So in the DWP, for example, where there is a multi-year deal done under the old pay cap that actually produced more money for some of our members, they will be included because this campaign is aimed at saying it's not about the past pay cap. It is about the government this year putting funding into every government department to allow above the rate of inflation pay rises without any strings attached. So multi-year deal or not, if that campaign is successful, every member will benefit. That's why every member should be involved in that ballot.
And so what's your message for our reps in the next weeks and months?
Well, our message is that we have to be determined to force the government to treat us fairly and to put more funding in than 1%. And what we want our reps to do now, and they've been brilliant up to now, because it was our reps who helped deliver the biggest ballot this union's ever had last year, when we got nearly 50% on a consultative ballot with huge majorities. And we want all of our reps to commit to do that again with even more vigour and determination, because beating the threshold will be difficult. We know that we've not done that before. We know the threshold is designed to stop people taking strike action. So the message to our reps is this, that you're the backbone of the union. We now don't want you to leave any stone unturned to ensure that every one of our members votes in the ballot and votes yes to industrial action if we get to that, in order to put pressure on the government. So we want people to organise meetings. We want to ensure that every member sees our literature, attends our payday protests that are scheduled at the end of April. We want people to redouble their efforts to recruit new members to the union. We want our reps to ensure that their records are up to date. Balloting under these laws is difficult, and we need every member to have accurate information so that we can ballot them and not fall foul of the law. We want our reps to be out there, getting more reps to join them, more advocates to build our union. I and the NEC are absolutely confident that our members keep this country running. If we vote to take industrial action, we have the ability to force the government to think again. In the first instance, we want that vote to persuade them in negotiations to treat our members fairly. Our reps are crucial to that. I want to thank them for attending the briefings and for all the work that they have done, but ask everyone to leave no stone unturned in the run-up to conference to talk to as many members as you can, and then if conference votes for a ballot, to ensure we deliver a massive yes vote and breach the 50% threshold.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.